definitely in worship and in church, the church environment, the vocal is number one every time. Forget everything else. If nothing else works, you'll make it through a service if people can hear the worship leader singing. It may not be that great, but they'll be able to sing along. I'll spend a lot of time trying to make a good space for the vocal to fit, because I don't want the vocal just to be 10 times louder than everything. I want it to still feel like a good mix, but just hear the vocal, a really clear voice where you can hear the words they're saying. And these guys do a really good job of what they're doing that makes my job easier, that I don't have to do a whole lot usually to make that happen. One thing I think is pretty common that I'll do sometimes with these guys, but with other people I work with a lot, is carve out like somewhere between 2 and 4K, 1 and 4K even, just kind of that whole area I think is kind of like vocal clarity. I'll start with the guitar and I'll do like a really wide EQ cut right around 2K and just pull it out maybe 2 or 3 dB just to start. And if you're listening to the guitar by itself, it might sound a little bit dull when you do that, but in the context of the mix, it lets the vocal sit right there and you still hear the guitar. And if he does like a lead part, I may even sneak some of that back up in. That's the main thing I do. And then there's definitely the kick and bass relationship where maybe I'll boost certain frequencies in the kick drum and kind of boost a little bit different frequency in the bass guitar, so they're not trying to take up the same space on the lower octave. The main thing I try to do, I think, is just really make a space for the vocal to sit where you can hear it well.
How often are you adjusting faders like mid-song in the moment to make room for stuff, or do you pretty much get it set and leave it?
All the time. If you get it set and leave it, you're probably not doing it right. Because there's always changes and there's always dynamics. I mean, even if your band plays with really great dynamics, it doesn't always translate through a microphone the same way that it does just straight out of the amp or the drum or whatever. I'm constantly writing faders like, turn up this guitar part for this lead coming up, or turn it down because we've got a key part that needs to be heard more here. Turn the snare up for this one cool part, it's nonstop. And there's probably been 3 times in my life where I thought it sounded great and I'm gonna just leave it alone. Ask these guys, every time they ask me how it sounds, I'd tell them I didn't like it. And so I'm always
really
trying to fix it. There's always something wrong and I'm always trying to fix it, so I'm constantly doing stuff.
It was a good night when we asked Daniel how it sounded and he goes, "It was all right." We're like, yes!